Museum of Water and Steam for a tram stop in Hounslow. So before I hand you over to this evening's wonderful performance, just a couple of notices. But without any further ado, I'm going to hand you over to the man behind the vision of this evening, Geoff Buckingham.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. It's so great to see so many familiar faces, smiling a bit more perhaps because of the victory yesterday in Norwich City. Yes? Anyway, I need to tell you, you're all going to be famous. Well, the backs of your heads will be famous. Bob Simpson is going to record this, so I hope you don't object to that. DVDs will be available if you've got friends who couldn't make it tonight, or if you want to buy a souvenir if you like it that much. We hope you do. Anyway, I'm one of the luckiest guys in West London because I've got some lovely people in front of me, many of whom I know very well indeed. It's great to see you. But I've also got a great bunch of performers who are about to come on. Please put your hands together for the performers from Riverside Players of Sunbury. A tram stop in Hounslow, the founding of Brentford Football Club. It is the year 1889, Queen Victoria is on the throne and reigns over the biggest empire the world has ever known. The Prime Minister is Robert Gascoigne Cecil, but to his friends he simply likes to be known as the third Marquess of Salisbury. The Industrial Revolution has seen the population of London boom. Brentford has become a thriving but very smoky, smelly and crowded industrial town on the River Thames. A huge waterworks, sawmills, docks, soapworks, a thriving market and much horsepower through traffic. There is also the odd brewery, distillery and oh so many public houses. There are a number of market gardens, privately owned fields and orchards, plus one of the largest gasworks in the country, taking up 88 acres of riverside frontage and belching out black smoke with a huge brooding gasometer towering over the town and its peoples.
Life is tough for many, and leisure is hard earned. It had been said a few years earlier that for its size, no other town in England had more poverty. The River Thames, with its canal connection to the River Brent, is crucial to the town, but mainly for transport and industrial purposes. However, some folk do gain much pleasure from it, and are about to debate if they can bring some much needed sparkle and interest into the lives of the other locals. It is the evening of the 16th of October 1889. We are at the Oxford and Cambridge Public House by Kew Bridge, Brentford. It is shortly before a special meeting of the Brentford Rowing Club starts.
Oh, well, here we go then. Must get this over with.
The only good thing is, Ronald, we'll be in the war. Mr. and Mrs. Wise always keep the Oxford and Cambridge nice and cosy once we get into autumn and winter.
Oh, they certainly do. Will be nice to get to that pavilion and out of this evening chill in front of a nice welcoming fire. Anyway, after you, Clarence.
Oh, it's you lot again. I want no more muddy footwear in my public house. You rowers always cause such a mess.
Sorry, Mrs. W, we can't always avoid that. There's always lots of mud on that embankment.
There can't be much of it left there. Most of it lands up on my floor, and me and my Minnie has to clear it up.
Sorry, Mrs. Wise, no problem tonight though. We haven't just got out of our boats. We walked here from our homes, across the high street, just past the Kew Bridge fountain and the market.
With a mess those cart horses, dray horses, and greengrocers' horses make, it could be even worse.
Oh, you mean all that?
Non-soil is what we call it here, Mr. Chance. You is in polite company now. Anyway, clean your boots on the grill before you tread everything in. Mr. Wise and I have worked our fingers to the bone getting the pavilion room ready. He's now taking a bit of a breather, but says he'll look in on things later. Minnie, I'm off to get some sawdust for the floor in the public bar, so get a move on, my girl, and serve these gentlemen. They look like they need a drink.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, good evening, Mr. Charm. Good evening, Mr. Vickers. So, you gentlemen are back again.
Yeah, I'm afraid so, Minnie.
You and your other club members are always welcome here at the Oxford and Cambridge. You know you are. Don't take no notice of Mum. Her bark is worse than her bite. But didn't the rowing season finish a while back? I thought your committee meetings would be over by now.
I'm afraid that is a sore point. They should have been over by last week.
Well, they would have been if you hadn't brought up the subject of football at the last meeting.
I merely said all had gone smoothly after another successful year of rowing. I simply added, thank goodness we're not a football club.
And then all hell broke loose.
Oh dear. Seems like I've touched a raw nerve.
Well, how was I to know that Henry Edwards and Kaylee West was mad as hops about this blasted soccer? And I certainly didn't realise that Bill Dodge and his mate Gatchell were equally fond of rugger. As bad luck would have it, that seemed just the opportunity that our on-sec and chairman were waiting for.
Yeah, well, you well and truly opened up a can of worms there. In fact, 2 cans. And with minutes, young on-secretary Arthur Green proposed this special meeting, and on chairman John Strachan backed him to the hill. Well, worse still, the Thames Valley Times heard about it, and in their next edition chipped in, why does the county of Town Middlesex not have a football team?
Yes, that really stirred up the members' Minnie.
But what's wrong with that?
I just want a quiet life, Minnie. A bit of rowing in the summer, maybe a bit of cricket too, and the rest during the winter. Oh, and the chance of us rowing in the Henley Regatta next year, without ruddy distractions. If members want another sport for during the winter, look, why don't they start playing that new indoor pastime they seem to be catching on? Tiddlywinks.
Yeah.
Not at the Oxford and Cambridge, they won't. If anyone wants to wink their squidges, they can do it at the Three Pigeons or across the road at the Express Tavern.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. W. I didn't mean to be frivolous.
Apology accepted, Mr. Vickers. Now, Minnie, no time for gossiping. Come and help me serve some of the other customers. Young Mr. Green has not even had a drink yet.
Oh, I'll happily serve him.
Make sure you do. And Mr. Strachan, he is the chairman after all. Looks like it's going to be a busy night here with all these rowers meeting up again. Ever since that book, 3 Men in a Boat, come out, rowers seem to think they can do what they like. Oh, and remember to collect the empties later, my girl.
Yes, Mum, I will.
Thank you, Mrs. W, and thank you too, young Minnie.
The ladies move away to serve drinks and collect the glasses during the evening, which does enable them to eavesdrop. Vickers and Chant gradually make their way to the pavilion.
Oh, Mr. Chant, I hope that the meeting doesn't go on too long. Well, if you remember the last one, I got so bored, my backside went to sleep.
Yes, I heard it snoring. Look, because I have a plan. Let the committee all have their say, maybe even encourage them to draw it out a bit and get sidetracked a bit, eh?
Well, that should be easy enough with that lot. But what then?
Now, this is a clever bit, right? I would try to round things up neatly by saying something like, it is far too late to make a decision of this importance. Let us all discuss it again when we meet up after the winter break. But then, of course, they will all have forgotten it, and we just carry on like we always have.
How, what a splendid idea.
I thought you would like it. Now, let's get a chair each.
Shh. Chairman Strachan is ready to start.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for meeting up again for what may prove to be an auspicious occasion. And my special thanks to our honorary secretary, Mr. Archer Green here, who has had to prepare these arrangements at very short notice.
Thank you for those kind words, Mr. Chairman. I am grateful to you all for giving up your valuable time, yet again, no doubt after a hard day's work, and so soon after our last meeting. Let us hope we can now make the progress which, for various reasons, we were unable to conclude last time.
Indeed, let us hope we can. It can't be swept under the carpet for much longer. We need to offer the people of Brentford more than just rowing and cricket.
Well said, Mr. Dorey. We are the county town, after all.
Yes, Mr. Layton. The Thames Valley Times is quite right. A town of our size and importance deserves more. It is a disgrace that the only sport on offer is us in our rowing boats and a few of us hitting a bat with a ball.
Which I am told you're very good at, Mr. Underwood.
Yes, captain of Boston Park Cricket Club for 20 years.
Thank you for those kind words.
Still not auspicious enough for Surrey nor Middlesex, though.
As I was saying, Mr. Chant, with the development of the docks, the sawmills, the waterworks, the railway and the gasworks, our burgeoning and hard-working Brentford population need more.
I agree, Mr. Underwood. Recreation is good for the body and soul. There is precious little sporting activity in the town as it is.
Well, let them all become rowers.
There are only so many locals that we can squeeze into rowing boats.
Yes, I agree. A lot of them are rather portly.
That is not what I meant, Mr. Chant. A lot of them cannot afford the money nor the time to participate in rowing. Most of them are not as fortunate as us, and many men need something more physically demanding on their legs.
Well, we could always reopen the Three Swans pub over at the Brentford 8 there. Well, if they want that sort of thing. And I read about some of the nefarious and anti-narking that used to go on there. Even the Prince of Wales.
Mr. Vickers, will you please take this seriously?
Thank you, Mr. Dodds. As I was saying, many men need something more demanding, and others need something to watch and to let off steam for.
Oh, and let us be honest. Most other towns have football teams. Even Fulham. Yeah, even Fulham.
Well, some towns have two, and we don't even have one.
They even have a football club in Wickham.
Only because it gives their workers a break for making rocking chairs and footstools.
In fact, most of the small towns and villages in Middlesex and Surrey have soccer teams now. Wimbledon, Hounslow, Southall, Wilston, Kew, etc.
Yeah, even the Pears Soapwork, they've got a team as well.
Easy for them to scrub themselves clean afterwards.
Mr. Chant, will you and Mr. Vickers stop playing the fool and take this seriously?
Seriously indeed. Some of the towns and cities up north have found that their football clubs have brought them great prestige.
Well, look at Preston North End. They won the Football League without losing a game. And now they've gone and walloped Wolverhampton Wanderers at the Oval to win the FA Cup as well. What pride they must have brought to their citizens.
Good point, Mr. Chairman. I mean, they've put their town well and truly on the map.
Well, are you seriously suggesting that we can match them, are you? We never matched Preston North End of this world. They've been established for nearly 30 years.
Yeah, if we ever get to equal the likes of Preston North End, pigs will fly.
Oh, you're dead right, Mr. Chance. We don't even have as much as one leather football between us. No pig's bladder to put inside it.
I agree, Mr. Vickers. And we don't even have a ground, nor even a flaming pitch to play on.
Yeah, and most importantly, no players. We could be the laughing stock.
Wise words, Mr. Vickers, wise words. Anyway, it is far too late to make a decision of this importance. Let us all discuss it again when we meet up after the winter's break.
Ah, excellent idea, Mr. Chance. I propose now that we close the...
No.
Why not?
Because this town needs a football team. It's okay for you gentlemen who can afford to be rowers, but most of the menfolk around here cannot afford that. Yeah, I mean, even one of our newspapers claimed that the town is associated with everything stagnant and disgraceful.
Yes, and not so long ago it called Brentford the filthiest place in England. This has to stop. Our workers and townsfolk need something to brighten their lives, something to occupy the workers during their well-earned leisure hours.
Currently, all Brentford has to be proud of is award-winning Beech's Strawberry Jam. Let's give the town an award-winning football club too.
Yeah, that's what we should aim for.
Here!
Strawberries only last one season. I hope that's not an omen, eh?
No need for negativity, Mr. Vickers.
I do not think we should close the meeting until we get something agreed.
Mr. Green and Mr. Layton are right.
Oh, must we?
Yes, we must. Our town has lagged behind. It is disgraceful that we do not provide sufficient recreational opportunities for participants and spectators. A poor show, if you ask me.
Brentford is a working town and always will be.
A drinking town too.
Yes, but the working class men in the town need more than just public houses for their pastimes.
That is very true. Many of them are not likely to take up one.
And I must be honest with you, nobody runs much in cricket.
That's also true. Have you seen the size of W.G. Grace? He can hardly waddle between the wickets.
Also, one can hardly play cricket in the winter. So football or rugby could be just what our men need.
After a long day on the barges, or in the waterworks, gasworks, or sawmills, our hard-working Brentonians need some excitement and a social outlet.
Rather than spending all their time and money in the Three Pigeons, the Salutation Inn, or the Express Tavern. Or indeed any of the other dozens of pubs in the place.
I could not agree more.
I'm still not convinced of the need for change.
Me neither.
Let me put it to you this way. For years, our town has done much for the people of London, Middlesex and Surrey. Our workers toil away for long hours and in difficult conditions to provide cleaner water for drinking and washing, coal and gas for warmth, light and cooking, wood for burning, soap for washing with, and docks for distributing vital goods throughout the region. But these industries have taken their toll on the town and its people. They deserve something back.
They certainly do. At long last, we are opening a recreation ground and planning eventually for a swing bath and slipper bath.
So let us give them a football or rugby team too.
You're quite right. The average worker in Brentford works his socks off for 10 to 12 hours a day, covered in dust and breathing in smoky air. He then gets home to a grubby, cramped terrace house with no inside facilities and a large family to look after. Surely he deserves to have a few hours a week to participate in or watch a game of football.
Or rugby. And it is worth bearing in mind that if we eventually achieve a noteworthy football team, people might well flock to Brentford to watch that team, thereby bringing lots more trade to our town.
Yeah, I mean, there were 6,000 people at the FA Cup final last week.
Just think of that. 6,000 people attending a football match.
Don't make a stuffed bird laugh.
Well, if you think that we'll ever get 6,000 people to turn up to watch Brentford, you must be completely potty. Reckon you get more than what? 2 men in a dog, I suppose? And that will no doubt reduce to 2 men once they realise they have to pay for the privilege.
Yeah. And even the dog will disappear when he sees how out of depth we are.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon we could get a few hundred, maybe more as years go by, lots more.
And no doubt they will spend money in our inns and shops, thereby giving our town a most welcome increase in trade, as befits the county town of Middlesex.
And just think, if we do well, it may inspire the children at our local schools, such as St Lawrence's and St Paul's, to try and emulate their heroes by playing football.
Nothing heroic about being humiliated each week.
Who's to say we will be?
Well, given time, with the capabilities of the good people in this room, I think there is every chance of success.
Maybe one day we'll even get to be in the very top league.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
I'm afraid you are talking out of your hat, Mr. Leighton.
Cloud cuckoo luck.
Please, gentlemen, be respectful.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One could say that forming a football or rugby club is our civic duty.
Exactly, Mr. Lee. And one in which the vision of all of our committee members would, of course, be duly recognised.
It certainly would.
Really?
Since you put it like that, maybe our idea is more worthy than I initially realised. What do you think, Mr. Vickers?
Yeah, I agree. I think our idea is a good one.
But it could be a bloody stupid idea if we have not yet decided if it's rugby or football.
Yeah, don't let Mummy use that language, Mr. Dodge. You'll have your guts for garters.
Sorry, Minnie.
But Mr. Dodge has a very good point, though.
He has indeed, but more importantly, whatever sport we play, it is pointless if we've not got anywhere to actually play on. We are wasting our time.
Yes, and if my memory serves me well, there was an attempt to form a Brentford football club a few years ago. Well, it all came to naught because there was not a suitable site for the pitch. Well, we may as well give up and go home.
Yet things are different now.
Yes, We now have some exciting possibilities, which is one of the reasons why we have brought you all here this evening.
Are you thinking of asking the Griffin Brewery town if we can use their old orchard?
Ah, you mean that site between Brook Road, New Road, Braemar Road and Ealing Road?
Yes, that's the one.
Well, we might tempt them if we offer to pay them some rent.
It's worth a try, Thomas.
I can hardly see them agreeing to that. It's a large and valuable orchard, for heaven's sake. It would cost them a lot of lost income if they gave it up. So the rent will be beyond us. They are brewers, not philanthropists.
Well, you're right, Mr. Chant. Even if we could somehow get permission from the Fuller, Smith and Turner brewery to play there, it's hardly going to be a permanent solution. A year or two at the moment.
Trust you to pour cold water on it, Vickers.
Hang on. How about that plot of land along the way here, up in Lionel Road?
Now there's a thought.
Very convenient for me.
It may be convenient for you, Mr. Layton, but it's very close to the railway station, alongside the railway line, and virtually on top of Kew Bridge. Not a cat in hell's chance. In fact, you can even swing a cat on that plot. You'll never get football nor rugby played there. There is no room, and apart from that, the locals would never stand for it. No council would allow it either.
Well, it is indeed pie in the sky, and I can't see that there's any site ever being used for football nor rugby.
It will never happen.
But, gentlemen, there are now strong indications that there may at last be something suitable in the town.
One shouldn't believe everything one hears on the grapevine, Mr. Right Honourable Secretary Green.
But sometimes the grapevine is correct.
Bless you, Mr. Green.
You really are besotted with this project, aren't you?
100%. If we are humble, but work hard, and use great vision, we can achieve splendid things for this town and our club.
Here.
I share Mr. Green's dream. Wouldn't it be great if we could start something that could be the pride of Middlesex into the next century, and maybe even beyond?
Perhaps we can even reach the final stages of cup competitions and unearth players that will be the envy of other clubs.
Possibly we may even one day get a player good enough to play for his country.
Oh, what a load of poppycock!
So you still believe in fairy tales then, Mr. Right Honourable Secretary? I knew you were young, but really...
Do not be so disrespectful, Mr. Vickers. I demand you apologise.
I apologise, Mr. Right Honourable Secretary.
Apology accepted.
I think our Right Honourable Secretary, Mr. Archer Green here, deserves praise for being proactive and ambitious and for our club and our town.
He certainly does.
I give them that.
So, where the hell are we going to play then?
Gentlemen, I do think we now might have somewhere suitable to play after all. The new St. Paul's Recreation Park is about to be opened in Lakewood Road, next to St. Paul's School, slap bang in the centre of town. It would be absolutely ideal.
I thought so too, Mr. Chairman. However, I have very bad news on that. I tried persuading the council to agree. I felt sure that they would say yes, but alas, no luck.
But they might relent if we keep trying.
Well, unfortunately, they did say no, even when I made it clear it was an official approach. They said it was their final decision on that subject. And as some of you know, its official opening as a recreation ground is tomorrow.
No surprises there.
Well, the council never agreed to give up the kids' swings and roundabouts just so that you chaps can play a stupid football around.
Yeah. Not forgetting the slide, nor the witch's hat.
Please be serious, Mr. Sharp.
If that fool does not shut up, I shall kick him over the water tower.
No, I'll beat you to it, Mr. Hodge.
Let us hold our tempers, please. I can assure you, gentlemen, that I have not called you here for nothing. Although it is unexpectedly bad news about St. Paul's Recreation Ground, I am delighted to tell you that we do actually have other serious possibilities lined up. There is a Ben's Field and one or two other sites that Mr. Strachan and I have previously looked into.
And what if they too say no?
Well, if they do, I'm delighted to hereby announce that Mr. Montgomery has kindly offered us his field. We do have somewhere to play after all.
Hurrah!
Excellent.
He's such a generous man.
Things are looking up.
Yes, but that Montgomery site is not enclosed, though.
Yeah, and it can take ages and ages to get things changed on that site or negotiated on others.
Well, gentlemen, if it does, in the interim, I can herewith confirm that I will loan the club the use of my own field in Clifton Road.
That is splendid, Mr. Underwood.
Ah, that could be the answer to our prayers, you know.
Wonderful news.
Very generous of you, Mr. Underwood.
That field is right by the Wesley Chapel, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Yes, very convenient for praying for the right result.
Is that a serious offer, Mr. Underwood?
It certainly is. The field is enclosed, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very important consideration.
It means we can charge an entrance fee.
Ah, precisely. And that will help finance the club.
I know the site well. The entrance is virtually opposite the Griffin Public House.
Ah, well, maybe the players can change there.
I imagine so.
Oh, how ridiculous. They'll be pie-eyed before kick-off.
Nonsense. They will not be allowed to drink before games.
Yeah, but how do you know we'll be allowed to use the Griffin?
I'm on very good terms with publican Fred Allen. I feel sure he will agree. He supports the idea of a football club in the town as well.
Hang on. If they are going to use a pub for that, then they may as well change here at the Oxford and Cambridge.
Good idea, Mum. They can change here. Oh, sorry, gentlemen.
Thank you for your suggestions, Mrs. Wise and Minnie, but this salubrious establishment is just a bit too far away from that field.
Basically, the players would be shattered even before kick-off, and possibly drenched too if it is raining. So I think Mr. Underwood's site and the Griffin would be just the job.
You make it sound as if it's a formality.
The way you lot are talking, all you need to do now is to catch some old spare piece of wood from Montgomery's sawmills, rig up some goalposts and crossbars, and you're ready to go.
There is no need to be facetious, Mr. Chart.
No, but I mean, they have got to be the exact dimensions.
Oh, no need to be too fussy. I really cannot see the height of a crossbar ever making the slightest difference to the fortunes of our club.
Well, there could be a nasty penalty if we are not accurate.
We don't want anything that will rebound on us, do we?
Good point, Mr. Layton. But let us not get too distracted. Some of us really do have to trot along soon.
Yes, and some of us have got homes to go to. We cannot gamble on all evening.
That is the first sensible thing you've said all evening.
Moving swiftly on then, can I have a proposer that we do form a new club? Ah, Mr. Henry Edwards, thank you. And a seconder? Thank you, Mr. Albert Penn at the back there. All in favour? Motion carried.
Excellent. So, gentlemen, we now have to decide on which sport. Do you agree, Mr. Green?
Yes, indeed. So, gentlemen, what is it to be? Association football or rugby union?
Hang on a minute. Couldn't we have a ground that caters for both football and rugby?
An interesting point, Mr. Dory.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. I'll eat my hat if that ever happens.
Please, Mr. Dory, keep the suggestions sensible. It's impossible to have rugby as well as football played on the same pitch.
Time will tell.
Anyway, gentlemen, for now we will concentrate on one winter sport only. Do we have a proposer for association football? Ah, Mr. Henry Edwards again? Thank you. And a seconder for that? Thank you again, Mr. West at the back there.
Well, I am for football. Always have been.
I agree, yes.
Me too. Much more practical. We should have plenty of teams to play against.
Pears Soapworks, Hounslow Second 11, 3rd Rifleman, Q, Southall Athletic, maybe even Queen's Park Rangers Reserves one day.
Queen's Park Rangers Reserves?
Do you really feel we can reach that level?
Well, you never know.
Fat chance of that.
Why not? I believe we should aim high.
Of course we should.
I know some of their members. They just laugh our time. They just laugh at our time. And they aren't exactly sure where it is. I mean, with the tram lines soon to be installed, our rivals will just say that it's just a tram stop in Hounslow.
Yeah, but maybe, just maybe one day, we'll make them eat their words. I'm forever the optimist.
Me too. Anyway, it looks like we are all in favour of football.
No, we are not. It's got to be rugby, far more exclusive as befits the county town of Middlesex.
Good point, Mr. Dodge. Can you minute that, please, Mr. Hall Secretary Green?
Is that a proposal for rugby then, Mr. Dodge?
It certainly is.
Is there a seconder? Mr. Gattrell, thank you.
I told you there was support for rugby. It is said to be the game for gentlemen.
Which is precisely why it does not suit our town.
Point taken, Mr. Dory.
Mr. Dodge, I pay due deference to you. You are one of the most respected young businessmen in the town. But I do not think rugby will prove as popular as football.
That is very kind of you, Mr. Underwood. But flattery will not get you anywhere with me. I still think we need a show of hands.
Well, we can have a show of hands by all means, but if we go for rugger, we'll have no bugger to play against.
Oi, I heard that. I'll have no blimmin' swearing in my establishment.
Sorry, Mrs. Wise, I got carried away.
You will be if I hears any more of that language. Me and my Joe don't want to risk the Royal Brewery losing their licence. It's our livelihood. It is the roof over our heads. And it is your clubhouse.
Point taken, Mrs. Wise. It will not happen again.
Our right honourable chairman is right, though. We could land up like Burnley up north. They tried rugby and had to switch to football after a few years.
Wasted years at that.
Just because it did not work up there does not mean it can't work down here.
I concede you that, Mr. Dodge.
If you want a show of hands, Mr. Dodge, then so be it.
Quite right too.
That sounds only fair. Let us all vote on it.
Hold on. This vote should only involve future playing members, nobody else.
Clever move. That means Mr. Leighton cannot vote, unless he fancies running down the wing in his 70s.
Don't be so impotent, Mr. Chant. I could probably still outpace you.
You'd never even find a pair of boots to wear, all that junk you clutter your house up with.
That is not junk. That is my collection of antiquities, maps, prints, Roman coins.
Well, you might need to cash in those coins to rent us a decent football ground.
You cheeky blighter, Mr. Vickers. Do not be so disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Leighton has done a lot for this town already.
Next thing, you'll be threatening us with that Roman dagger they found on the riverbed.
Please, gentlemen, act with more decorum.
Seriously though, Mr. Chairman, I propose it really should only be those young enough to actually play football or rugby who should be allowed to vote on which one they play.
Bill!
Mr. Dodge has a point, though, Mr. Chairman.
I must admit, he does.
Gentlemen, there is no need for discord on this point.
Mr. Green is right. You see, Mr. Underwood and myself are invited here to support and advise if needed. We are not current members yet, so we are agreeable to vote going ahead without us.
That is correct, gentlemen. I trust you will make the right decision.
Very well then, future playing members only.
And they must be prepared to cough up a membership fee of £5 bob a year, of course.
Bill does have a point.
You really are a stickler, Mr. Dodge, but fair enough. Let us have the vote right now.
At last.
This could be close, you know.
All those future playing members in favour of rugby, please show your hands.
Wonder how many that'll be.
This is the end of Act 1, ladies and gentlemen. We shall now take a 10-minute break, and we look forward to seeing you again in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
It's lovely to see you again. We now have pleasure in bringing you a tram stop in Hounslow at 2.
How many hands for rugby?
Look, loads of them. I think rugby has won the day.
Not necessarily.
All those in favour of football?
By Jove, look at that!
Oh, I think football's won!
As I thought.
Football does indeed win. 8 votes to 5. Sorry, Mr. Dodge.
It was a bloody fit.
Boy, remember what I blinking well said a short while ago?
My profuse apologies, Mrs. Wise.
I think we're all getting a bit overexcited, gentlemen.
I suggest you retract that comment, Mr. Dodge. All was fair and square.
Yeah, come on, Bill, do the decent thing.
All right, I retract. But I expect to get a chance of playing in the Brentford football team then, at least to start with. And now we had better get ourselves some kit and sort out who does what. I suppose you wish to be the captain, Mr. Green?
Certainly not. I hardly play the game, actually.
Oh, heaven forbid.
Would you believe it?
After all this, you now tell us that you hardly ever play the flipping game.
I love having an occasional kickabout, but unfortunately my job, plus my duties as Honourable Secretary of our rowing club, and also now football club, simply would not allow sufficient time for me to practice to a good enough standard. I am happy, though, to umpire the odd game if needed.
I guess it's Mr. Strachan then.
Me neither, I'm sorry to say. I'm too busy with my work and swatting up for my engineering and surveying.
Oh, stone the crow.
This is never going to get off the ground.
Now, please, gentlemen, let the chairman continue.
I'm very happy to help run things, but unfortunately, as with Mr. Green, I simply will not have time to train and play regularly.
Heaven help us.
So, why did you put us all through this then?
Because it is right for the town, Mr. Vickers.
It certainly is.
It is known as civic duty, and if it works and the town benefits, future generations will look back and thank us for our vision and sense of community responsibility.
Whatever our differences on other things, we all love dear old Brentford and...
Well, you lots are making us look like a band of arms.
I'm surprised you lot haven't all taken up playing the harp.
I'm warning you, Mr. Vickers and Mr. Chant.
Okay, so who will be captain?
I think it's fair to say you can count me out.
Now, Thomas, no hard feelings.
No volunteers? Any proposer? Mr. Charles Almond. You nominate Mr. Curtis. Any seconders for that? Thank you, Mr. Carey West. Are you happy to accept the role of Mr. Curtis? No? You think Mr. John Hinton Bailey should be captain?
Oh, my giddy aunt.
This is becoming a farce.
Shut up, you two.
Are you prepared to be captain then, Mr. Hinton Bailey? You're not?
Oh.
I'm told you're a very good player. Can't we tempt you? You're happy to play too many commitments with your family and your local government job to be captain. Oh, dear.
I think Mr. Vickers was right.
Please be quiet, Mr. Charles. Mr. Curtis, in the circumstances, are you now prepared to be captain? You are? Oh, thank you. It looks like you have got the job. Gentlemen, we have ourselves a captain.
That would teach him to Polish football. Now we see if he's any money good at it.
Boy, remember what I said?
Do apologise, Mrs. Wise.
Look, I'm the last person to be disrespectful, but Mr. Curtis is only 20 years old.
Yes, and so was Horatio Nelson when he first was given command, and he didn't do too badly, did he?
That's a very valid point, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and I expect Mr. Leighton probably knew him personally.
Stop playing the fool.
Oh, sorry, do carry on then.
Now, any nominations for vice captain?
How about Mr. Cattle, Mr. West, or Mr. Bolton?
Are either of you gentlemen happy to be voted for? You are not.
One of you.
Who are the fools now?
Can you please help us out here, Mr. Hinton Bailey? For the common good, could you find time to be vice captain? You can. Jolly good show.
We have ourselves a vice captain. Thank you, John.
At last. Well done, John.
Thank you, Mr. Hinton Bailey. And in addition to Mr. Curtis, Mr. Hinton Bailey, and Mr. Dodge, who else will turn out for us? Messrs. Gattrell, Drabble and Edwards at the back there. Excellent.
Good, that settles it. Only 5 more chaps needed. We're in business.
Easier said than done.
Sorry to poke my noses in, gentlemen, but I couldn't help but overhear. I would be happy to play. I think kicking a ball around would be great fun.
Don't be daft, young lady. We cannot have women playing football.
Please, Mr. Dodge, there's no need to be impolite.
Yes, but some things will never happen.
Bless you for offering to help, Minnie, but I don't think the time is right for women to play football just yet.
No, and if the players are anything like my builders, the language might be a bit too industrial for you here.
Maybe one day, though, I mean, it's a nice idea, young lady.
I'll eat my hat if we ever have ladies representing our club on the football.
Size of your hat, Mr. Vickers. You could well get indigestion.
But Vickers is right though. Anyway, back to topic.
Yeah, well, we can always drag a few blokes out of the saltation in there.
Or wait until they get chucked out.
Or crawl out.
Maybe our Mr. Leighton could play on the wing.
I would. If only I was 50 years younger, and I would put you in your place too.
I reckon he would too.
I was only joking, Mr. Leighton.
Gentlemen, please.
Seriously, we are now getting somewhere. I will put in an advertisement for players and trialists in next week's Thames Valley Times.
Only the local edition, mind you. I can't foresee anyone wanting to travel more than a mile or two to play for us.
Yeah, well, he has a point there, gentlemen. No further than Shepherd's Bush, I reckon.
I doubt we could get anyone of sufficient standard from there.
Good point, Mr. Chairman.
And no bad apples either. I suggest we have a no scoundrels rule.
An excellent idea, Mr. Dodge.
It is indeed. We don't want anyone who could undermine our efforts.
Agreed.
I know a young chap from Hanwell who might be useful. Tom Bonnell.
Yeah, I mean, some say he's a pretty capable centre forward.
I've heard he's a cop.
Yes, a Drayhawk's more likely. I'm told he's assistant manager in a local brewery.
Ah, he's got the right credentials then.
Maybe he can get some cheap beer for post-match refreshment.
You might get a farthing off a pint of oil, but you'll never get a goal in a month of Sundays from him.
No need to be so negative, Mr. Chance. Mr. Bonnell is a strapping, muscular young man.
Sorry, I dropped a glass. I'll clear it up.
Make sure you do, young Minnie, and keep your mind on your work, my girl.
Look, as Mr. Chance was saying, we will be lucky if we can get any chap who can score more than a handful of goals a season.
Yeah. One can dream, Mr. Vickers, one can dream.
That dream could turn out to be a nightmare.
Let us not underestimate what our town of Brentford can achieve, Mr. Chant.
Quite right, Mr. Dodge. Anyone else?
Could we buy a player or two?
Well, that could be a bit tricky. It reeks of professionalism.
That counts us out then.
How much would it cost? As a matter of interest, of course.
Well, they say it can cost 10 bob to get a top-class centre forward these days.
10 bob? That is half of a whole pound.
Mr. Chant is cleverer than I thought he
There's
was.
no need for that, Mr. Leighton. Anyway, wages would also be an issue for someone of that calibre.
I mean, 2 pennies a week, I believe, is the going rate.
There's your answer. Before we know it, we will be bankrupt. I knew we should have voted for rugby. You wouldn't have never have gotten those rugby chaps expecting to be paid, not in a month of Sundays.
Well, we are not going to run the election again. That is never a good idea. And we certainly cannot pay a king's ransom. I think it is safe to say this club will never, ever pay anyone as much as tuppence a week.
But if you want to get any players that are any good, you surely have to at least slip them a wee bit of expenses into their boots.
Oh, certainly not. That reeks of professionalism too.
Professionalism may well be the ultimate aim, but likely to be a long way off. At this stage, Mr. Vickers, we're proposing being an amateur club. Any whiff of payments to players would be illegal.
We could be chucked out of any league as soon as we joined it.
So, who else can we get to turn out for us? For free?
Not even for free. They must be able to pay their 5 shillings a year, of course, like everyone else.
That is indeed a point worth bearing in mind.
Yes, we do not wish to risk our club ever having a financial crisis.
God, heaven forbid. We must never let that happen.
We would certainly regret ever having done it.
What about some of our rowing club members who could not attend this evening?
Excellent suggestion.
Thank you, Mr. Underwood. We have 3 of our younger rowers who might come in useful. Beaver, Burgess and Bloomer.
If we're not careful, we've been nicknamed the Bees.
Oh, that'd be nice. We could have a little bee on our badge.
Don't be silly, Minnie.
I could sew it on for her. I'm very proficient with the needle and cotton.
That's true. Mum sews up all the holes in my stockings.
Minnie!
Oh, this is getting more embarrassing by the minute.
Next thing we know, some absolute idiot will suggest we have a giant bee emblem on the side of our football ground.
That's all very absurd now, isn't it?
No, it's not, Mr. Vickers. There's no positive about it.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. And I will see if I can fix us up with our first match within a month from now.
But who against? No established club is likely to agree.
How's the barracks? Pears Soap, maybe Southall Rubber Works.
What exactly do they make there, by the way?
Oh my goodness, this chap has led a sheltered life.
Bicycle tyres, I assume.
Stop smirking, Minnie.
Please, do not let us get sidetracked.
Gentlemen, relax. I have something already lined up. One of my old school chums is a member of Q Football Club. He has pulled a few strings, and they have said they would be doing the honours. They are actually in the League Two.
Q Football Club?
They will not want to pay little old Brentford Football Club.
They have promised.
That does not surprise me. Well done, Mr. Green.
An exciting prospect, eh, gentlemen?
That's very kind of a bigger club like Coo Football Club agreeing to help us out.
It is indeed a prestige friendly to get the ball rolling, so to speak.
And Derby too.
You've done very well there, Archer.
And what colours will our new Brentford Football Club wear?
Maybe stripes. Red and white would look impressive.
Sounds good to me.
Very smart.
Love that idea. Men in stripes. Oh, very attractive.
Don't be ridiculous. It will look like we're wearing pyjamas.
Oh, men in pyjamas. Sounds even more attractive.
Young lady, will you please stop being so frivolous?
Behave yourself, my girl. Your father is looking furious at the back there.
Sorry, Mr. Dodge. Sorry, Mum. Sorry, Father.
Stripes are a bit commons too. Lots of teams wear stripes. Look, how about hoops? Possibly blue, white.
No, it would look like a rugger team.
And a rather namby-pamby one at that.
White shirts and black shorts there.
Shows a lack of imagination, doesn't it?
Very dull.
It's good enough for Fulham.
Well, that is because they started out as a cricket club. They didn't want to change their shirts when they opted for football.
I should have carried on playing cricket then.
Well, perhaps stick to the colours of our rowing club.
Good idea.
There won't be too many football clubs wearing salmon, claret, and light blue, will there?
Can't think why.
Oh, very fancy. Oh, sorry, nothing to do with me, really.
My husband will be happy. He loves a bit of tradition. Don't you, Joe?
Oh, you're right there, Mum.
I imagine it would keep our other members happy too.
Important point, Mr. Layton. I'm told there can be a lot of resistance when there are changes to club colours and such like. Right, if you can minute that, Mr. Green. Now, we will need to form a committee. Any volunteers?
Well, I'm happy to do my bit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. It would be marvellous having the benefit of the business acumen of you and your family.
Best builders in town too.
So I believe, Bill. It would be good if we could also enlist your help and business expertise, Mr. Underwood. And of course you too, Mr. Layton.
I am very willing to serve.
I shall be delighted to help in any way that I can.
Aren't you two on enough committees already?
I'm surprised that both of you aren't also in Old Salisbury's government.
Mr. Chant, please. It is public-spirited people such as Mr. Layton and Mr. Underwood that get things done and make our beloved town of Brentford a better place. I may not always agree with the old blighters, but we must acknowledge their hearts are in the right place, even if they are stubborn old devils at times.
Thank you for those kind words, Mr. Dodge.
I feel sure that was intended as a compliment. But if we want to bring honour and recognition to our town, we need to harness the support and wise counsel of the likes of Messrs. Leighton, Underwood, Dorey, Montgomery and others.
We shall indeed. Remember, we are not just forming a football team. We are forming a football club. We need to tap into the experience of those who know all about leadership and achievement.
Well, we're lucky to have such persons in our midst, as well as talented players such as Mr. Curtis and Mr. Hinton Bailey. Now, before we close the formalities, I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Wise for getting the pavilion ready for us at such short notice.
And of course, Mrs. Wise and the delightful Minnie for looking after us and replenishing our drinks so frequently and efficiently.
Thank you, Mr. Archer-Green. But aren't I delightful as well as my Minnie, then?
Indeed you are, Mrs. Wise. Indeed you are.
And if our club brings delight to the people of Brentford and beyond, maybe that magnificent water tower across the road will one day beam down in approval.
Hooray! Right. Well, we can now retire to the lounge bar to celebrate the founding of Brentford Football Club.
And quench our thirst even more.
And discuss tactics. If we're going to play this stupid game, we might as well try to be damn good at it.
They all depart to the lounge bar, except Messrs. Chant and Vickers. He gathers the empty glasses, and Mrs. Wise also joins in.
There they go, poor deluded fools. They may be giggle mugging now, but the novelty will soon wear off.
Oh, it sounds exciting to me. I could become a supporter, start up a sort of supporters club even. Call them the United Bees or something similar.
And I could knit scarves in our colours for the supporters.
You can put your knitting needles away, Mrs. W. There'll be nothing to support.
Well, I was thinking I might help sell tickets as well.
Tickets? There'll be no need to sell tickets for this so-called Brentford Football Club. There will be no demand.
Yes, well, the club will not even last a season. We'll probably be called Brentwood anyway. Yeah. But no doubt we will, and old Bill Dodge will not hang around long enough. He'll be off like a shot after one game, and the rest of us will soon follow.
Yeah.
I was hoping one day our Brentford Football Club will become one of the premier clubs in the country.
Aiming for the top division? My Aunt Fanny. I can't see them getting beyond the very bottom rung of the very lowest ladder.
What exactly went on earlier at this meeting then? I wasn't listening in, of course, but I heard something about trying to stop men from drinking in our pubs. Are you not trying to take away our living?
Oh, nothing to worry about, Mum. The real idea is to have a football club which will actually bring more people into our town. And that means more people will be customers in our pubs. Us and the likes of the Griffin and the Express Tavern could all get very busy.
Oh, that sounds better. We might have to buy more pint glasses then, Minnie.
You might only need 2 more pint glasses. To buy more pint glasses? And also a dog bowl as well.
What? He's only joking, Mum.
Oh no, I'm not.
What a shame, eh? They all meant so much, like so well. It would have been nice for the old town.
It could certainly do with a boost. Not since the Lord Mayor of London came here to celebrate the closing of the Toll on Kew Bridge. Have we in Brentford had much to shout about? Wouldn't it be good if this new team could get established by the time our good Queen Victoria celebrates her Diamond Jubilee in just 7 years' time?
Yeah. Well, Mum, maybe she'll pay a visit to our town then.
You'd be better off waiting for King Canute to make a comeback.
Yeah, sadly, ladies, methinks this Brentford Football Club idea will soon fade. We'll all be back in our rowing boats by this time next year.
And then we can just carry on as just before and dream of being in that Henley Regatta.
Yeah, rather than being a football club that some would rightly describe as just a train stop in Hounslow.
Vickers and Chant laugh. Minnie and Mrs. Wise sigh and collect the glasses. Vickers and Chant shake hands and depart with a smile on their faces. After a few practice matches, the club got ready for its first official match on Mr. Underwood's land in Clifton Road. But not before a butcher had moved his livestock out in the morning, and the club members had cleared the field of night soil.
The scene was set and the newly formed Brentford Football Club duly drew their first match with Kew 1-1, and the aforementioned Tom Bonnell scored their first ever goal. In fact, they would have won, but for shot hitting the woodwork and the opposition scoring from a set piece. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? You may not be surprised to hear there was also a goal disallowed for handball after delay caused by VAR. Now, you didn't know VAR existed in Victorian times, did you? It did, but it stood for very aggressive remonstrations. The gate receipts total £0.50, 12.5 pence in today's money. The committee successfully arranged lots more friendly fixtures before joining local leagues.
But tragically, 1 year after that first game, the Honourable Secretary, Mr. Archer Green, one of the driving forces behind the formation of the rowing club and the football club, became ill and collapsed after umpiring a Brentford football match. He died very shortly after, aged just 27. The club were devastated, and 700 people joined his funeral procession through the town to St Paul's Church.
John Strachan went on to become a top surveyor and engineer, and also Brentford chairman, but very sadly caught influenza and pneumonia just 4 seasons later, and he too died at a young age, just 31, and shortly before his baby daughter was born. So the two co-founders of Brentford Rowing Club and Brentford Football Club tragically saw little of the new club's subsequent progress and achievements.
However, such was the enthusiasm that they had generated, the club won the Middlesex Junior Cup in John Strachan's last season, beating the quaintly named Westminster Ponsonby 2-1 in the final at Crowley. A mark of the growing popularity of the club was that an estimated crowd of 5,000 attended around Kew Bridge to welcome the team back to Brentford.
John Hinton Bailey, the club's first ever vice-captain and one of their most talented players, unfortunately broke a collarbone in a match and retired from playing after just a few seasons. He then took on the mantle of treasurer, but this proved to be a poisoned chalice. The club's ambitions got the better of them, and although still an amateur club at that time, they got caught making payments to a player. This not only got the club into big trouble with the football authorities, but poor John Hinton Bailey took the rap and was given a lifetime ban. Fortunately, all is forgiven, and we're delighted that his great-grandson has been able to join us today. Incidentally, John and his family remained in Brentford for many years, and he lived to see the club reach the top 5 of the old First Division before he died in 1937.
Edwin Underwood became a very successful businessman of international renown, and later served Brentford Football Club as chairman. Thomas Layton was also a successful businessman, but became best known as one of the country's foremost collectors of maps, coins and antiquities. Both gentlemen served the town with great distinction and were behind many initiatives, including the building of the swing baths and the public library. These were built by the renowned family firm run by another committee man, Tom Dorry. Another committee family member of his became the club's first ever chairman after it indeed became officially professional. Bill Dodge, although he had campaigned for rugby, played alongside John Hinton Bailey in that very first football game, and many others. He also captained the reserve team for a number of seasons and went on to serve the club for over 71 years, including as Brentford FC president until his death in 1960.
During that time, the club changed to red and white stripes, moved ground several times, and swiftly worked its way up the football ladder through the local league, Southern League, and eventually into the Football League. Its halcyon days were the 1920s and 1930s, when regular crowds of over 30,000 saw it rise through the divisions to reach the top 5 of the old First Division. It dropped down the divisions after World War II, surviving several very worrying crises in which the club's very existence was threatened, and in 1967 it nearly got taken over by close rivals, Queen's Park Rangers.
The club spent over 110 years playing in the former Fuller, Smith and Turner Orchard that became Griffin Park. In recent seasons, under the ownership and imagination of Matthew Benham and his great coaching and background staff, little old Brentford set the standard for attractive football and rose up the ranks again from the bottom division to eventually reach the Premier League and moved into a state-of-the-art new stadium on that site in Lionel Road by Cubridge Station. Just a goal kick away from the very spot where that inaugural 1889 meeting took place at the Oxford and Cambridge Public House.
We pay tribute to Archie Green, John Henry Strachan, Bill Dodge, Edwin Underwood, Thomas Layton, Tom Dory, John Curtis, John Hinton Bailey, and all the men and women who founded the club and those who have served it and supported it in so many ways over the years. You are our heroes and we thank you. Up the league! Greatly appreciate it. We're on our way now, but we hope to perhaps have a chat with you later. There'll be some music to be played, and maybe some of you may wish to join in. Thank you very much indeed. Good night.